Hey guys, how you doing today? Today I wanted to come to you with a quick lesson about godly communication. Godly communication. How many of you have ever had a communication failure, right? A communication failure where you were supposed to tell somebody something and you didn't, or you misunderstood somebody. You know, we've all done it, and it can really mess things up. Actually, one of the tricks that the devil would like to do is to break down communication so that instead of understanding one another, we have assumptions. How many of you know assumptions lead to lack of trust, but communication leads to trust? This is really important. Communication leads to trust, but assumptions lead to lack of trust. Assumptions lead to assuming that people are not going to come through. It leads to pessimism or skepticism. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about godly communication and how important it is. I've been reading through the Apostle Paul's writings, and he is such a great communicator, but he's always talking about who he's communicating with. He's sending letters to church leaders, to church congregations. He's passing on messages. He's communicating his successes. He's communicating his mission, where he's going and what he's doing. He's also communicating his struggles and what he's struggling with, the people that he struggled with, the situations he's struggling with. He's letting them know his mission and what he plans to do, what he's doing in the moment. He's just a master communicator. He's talking to them about where God is leading him, where he thinks God might be leading them. And it's just incredible to see what a master communicator he was. And so as I was thinking about this, as we're going through this idea of being, and every member's a minister church, right? And we're thinking about the Apostle Paul and how he equipped Timothy and how Timothy equipped others. And here we are today because that discipleship process has gone on. I just want to talk about godly communication. And so I want to quickly, just draw a triangle here. And I want to let you know that God speaks to us, right? He speaks to the leader, but he also speaks to the team. God is constantly speaking to me, and he's constantly speaking to you. He's speaking to you and the people on your team. And what happens when the word dead ends there is that, man, what God works in this incredible way is that he drops part of the message into the hearts and lives of individuals. But then we have to communicate back and forth to get the full message. We have to communicate back and forth for it to be this incredible picture of the body of Christ. And so we need to have trust. And in order to have trust as a team, we need to have godly communication. And godly communication is where we're prioritizing relationships, where we're building into one another, like we see the Apostle Paul praying for and caring about and asking the churches and his disciples how they're doing, right? Godly relationships, asking questions, okay? And then being there to disciple them and equip them and ask them, and then to receive from them, ask them how they're doing and what they want to bring into this equation. 14 years ago, when Rachel and I got married, we were at the reception, and Rachel had this idea. She said, what I want to do is I want to have the couple who's been married the longest come and speak into our lives. And we want to ask the couple that's been in the room the longest, what one word of advice would you give us as we're getting married? So we had this couple. I don't even know who they are. I never met them. I'm not sure if I know who they are, but I don't remember that day. And anyhow, the word that they gave to us was this: communicate. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Never stop communicating. The biggest challenge in marriage is going to be communication. And when you communicate, you build trust. When we don't communicate, we build suspicion. We build lack of trust. We assume, and our minds will always assume the worst. But trust will help us believe in one another, care about one another, empathize with one another. So in your relationships, I want you to know that communication goes both ways, okay? As the leader of the church, Don't wait for me to communicate with you. You communicate with me. And I can't wait for you to communicate with me. I have to communicate with you. Communication goes both ways. Whenever I hear stories about a communication failure and somebody says, they never told me, da-da-da, they never called me, da-da-da, I always say this. I say, a telephone has two ends. Communication has two ends. If they didn't call you, did you call them? We have to let each other know when we have issues. And we've got to look out for people. So communication goes both ways. We have to reach out to one another, but we can't just assume someone's going to reach out to us. We have to sometimes reach out to them, ask them for help, let them know what's going on, and encourage one another with that kind of godly communication. Again, I've been just so encouraged as I read through the Apostle Paul. I want to be like him in my communication. And communication builds trust. It builds quality teams. It builds relationships that you can depend on, people that you can understand, and people that you want to go to bat for, that you want to fight for, that you want to believe in, that you want on your team, that you can't wait to see, and that you believe God is going to use you together to do amazing things. So remember, God is speaking. God is speaking. He's speaking to you, me as a leader. He's speaking to you as a team. He's speaking to you as a husband or a wife or a child. He's speaking to your family members. He's speaking to the church. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're sharing that with each other, that we're working together as teams, that we're not having any lack of communication where we're just assuming people know where we're at. We're letting them know. And this is just can be a beautiful picture. Whenever teams don't meet, communication breaks down. When couples don't see each other, marriages break down. When families move away and don't see each other, phone calls get briefer. So to have strong relationships, we need godly communication. Anyhow, I hope that you learned something today. I hope that this was encouraging. And I just encourage you to make sure that you're what? Not assuming, but you're communicating. God bless you guys, and thanks for listening.